Now, in order to provide future-proof logistics assets, it will be important to understand the future occupier demand and the drivers behind this future occupier demand. Now, think about big data, smart devices, robotics, autonomous vehicles, and 3D printing, just to mention a few. I'm pretty sure you have heard about these topics and you are fairly familiar with the mega trends that will impact future demand. But if you want more information about these topics, then please check out GLL's latest study on the topic, which is called The New Industrial Revolution, and that you can find on our research website. At this point, just as much. Our research has identified 3 main areas that will lead occupier demand going forward over the short and medium term: technological advancement, ride-sharing, and city logistics. It's these areas that will provide the highest opportunities to improve efficiency, visibility, and the ability to forecast customer demand, as well as to prevent or at least mitigate the risk of supply chain disruption. At the same time, they will also add further layers of complexity throughout the entire supply chain process, and in particular in final mile delivery. So what will be the types of warehouses that will be in demand going forward, and where will these warehouses be located? I've once again regrouped these around the 3 major change areas. Also, clearly, there will be overlaps between these areas, and other impacts such as sustainability and resource restraints will also play an important role. Technology will speed up production processes and operational processes and make them easier. It will also improve the insight in customer demand, and this will be, to a certain extent, prevent the need to store large inventories. But it will also require a new approach towards infrastructure requirements, security, and skill sets. So what does it mean for warehousing? Well, expect to see rising demand for facilities that can support rapid throughput rather than for traditional warehouse buildings. Demand for cross-docks is already on the rise, and we expect to see more of this going forward. Expect ongoing strong demand for facilities dedicated to e-fulfillment and returns processing. And this will include the whole range of facilities, from large megacenters right down to small city depots. And it is likely at the both ends of the size range that we are going to see the most substantial change in occupier demand. We'll come to city depots in a moment. Meanwhile, megacenters will continue to employ large workforces despite increasing automation. So the need to locate those in close proximity to available labor forces and offer ample car parking for workers is not going away anytime soon. But going forward, it will not stop here. Warehouse operators will to think very hard about the type of workplace design they are going to offer in order to attract and retain an increasingly scarce workforce. But they will also have to keep in mind that over a longer period of time, the dependence on large workforces will be step-by-step reduced through the integration of new technology, as in particular robotics and autonomous vehicles are becoming more reliable. Expect indeed to see rising automation in the use of robotics and smart technology in warehouses. Therefore, warehouse operations will require, going forward, significantly increased power supply and a 24-hour stable and secure access to Wi-Fi. And this will impact on the location of buildings going forward, as not all existing infrastructure networks can cope with this increased demand. We've already seen examples where a lack in power supply has forced new development into new locations and basically restricted the expansion of existing ones. And whilst it won't be tomorrow that electronic and autonomous vehicles will take over our streets, future warehouses will have to provide e-charging stations and change dock door design in order to operate such vehicles. Now, rising activity around ride-sharing is mainly driven by new technology and the need to be closer to the customer, whilst it also provides an important means to reduce supply chain disruption. Therefore, expect to see rising demand for manufacturing space across Europe. Expect these new production facilities to increasingly resemble traditional warehouses as production processes are becoming cleaner and more automated. Expect to see the emergence of new industrial zones around the edge and within larger cities to support growing customer expectations of on-demand delivery and products. Expect to see increasing campus developments for R&D and supplier parks for spare parts that will be increasingly produced with new technologies such as 3D printing. And last but not least, it is a rising pressure on the final mile delivery that is also impacting on warehousing demand. Now, these days, everybody is talking about warehouses in cities. But city logistics is not taking place exclusively in cities. It starts well outside of the city. And it is not only the rising number of parcels that is putting high pressure on the final mile, but also increasing government regulations on traffic and emissions. Going forward, we will see high emphasis on solutions that will support more efficiency and in particular reduce the number of journeys, of delivery journeys, and in particular multiple delivery journeys from different companies into a given city area. So expect to see rising demand for concepts like consolidation centers and multimodal platforms at the edge of larger cities, more consolidation centers and multimodal platforms at the edge of larger cities. Expect also to see an intensification of new development sites around larger cities, as available land is becoming scarcer and therefore more expensive. This means we will see more multi-story warehouse buildings going forward. Also, this type of facilities will clearly remain a niche concept. And also expect the number of inner-city small logistics depots to increase going forward. Also, these solutions will require an adaptation from city to city, and they will be located mainly in buildings that have been built for uses like office, retail, and car parking. Well, we are really at the beginning of a global supply chain network redesign, and that means that we can expect further robust and even growing occupational demand over a number of years. But the dimensions, the design, the infrastructure network requirements, and the location of warehouses will have to shift in order to support new operational processes and changing customer demand. This means that new developments will have to keep the future requirements of warehouses very much in consideration, and also the refurbishment, optimization and upgrading of existing buildings will becoming more important going forward to make sure these facilities are future-proof as well. Speeding up the supply chain is a very important concept to win the hearts and minds of the customer who is now firmly in the driving seat. So city logistics is at the moment the most important factor in changing warehousing demand, and it needs to be given a high priority without losing sight of other change factors as well. And indeed, a growing struggle to attract and retain an ample workforce that is important for online fulfillment will put a high pressure on warehouse operators to think about the warehouse design that they're going to offer in the future. And last but not least, real estate must get ready for the future and consider new innovative approaches to help customers to achieve greater agility and flexibility in their supply chain, and as well meet new regulatory and sustainability requirements. Thank you very much.